From the moment you were born, the world began programming you. First, your family told you who you are, what's right, what's wrong. Then school reinforced it, teaching you what to memorize but never how to think. Religion gave you a moral framework, culture gave you values, and society gave you rules. By the time you became a teenager, you were already carrying layers of other people's beliefs. And the saddest part? You thought they were yours? Think about it. Did you choose your religion? Or was it given to you before you could even speak? Did you choose your language, your nationality, your identity? Or were they stamped onto you before you had the ability to question them? Most people confuse conditioning with truth. They think, this is what I believe, so it must be right. But in reality, it's just what they were told to believe, and the system is designed this way for a reason. Schools don't want independent thinkers, they want obedient workers. Governments don't want rebels, they want citizens who follow orders. And corporations? They don't want philosophers, they want consumers who buy without questioning. Here's the painful reality. By the time you are an adult, 90% of your mind is borrowed. You didn't build it, you inherited it. The great philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti once said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." And that's exactly the trap most people fall into. They adjust. They conform. They fit in, but in doing so, they never actually think for themselves. Here's a question for you. The last time you had a strong opinion about politics, religion, success, or even love, was it really yours? Or was it simply the echo of your parents, your teachers, your society? And this brings us to the next trap, the herd mentality. Now let's talk about the herd, the invisible force that keeps most people trapped in borrowed thought. Humans are social creatures. From the moment we are born, we seek approval. Approval from our parents, our friends, teachers, society, and there is nothing wrong with wanting connection. But the problem arises when your desire for acceptance starts controlling your mind. Most people don't realize it, but the fear of standing out, of being different, is stronger than their desire to be right. Think about it. How often have you kept quiet even when you knew you were correct because you didn't want to upset someone, or changed your opinion in a group discussion just to fit in? Social media has amplified this effect 1,000 times. Every like, every share, every viral trend is a little reinforcement that says, follow the herd and you are safe. Step out and you may be punished. Philosophers like Schopenhauer and Sartre warned about this centuries ago. Schopenhauer called it the herd mind, a force that destroys reason and replaces it with collective laziness. Let's take history as an example. Galileo, one of the greatest minds of his time, proved that the earth revolves around the sun, yet he was forced to recant, because society, the church, the herd, would not allow independent thinking. Even today, the herd doesn't kill with swords. It kills with ridicule, gossip, and social pressure, and most people surrender without even realizing it. Here's the truth. Following the herd is comfortable. It's safe, but comfort is the enemy of originality. The moment you stop thinking for yourself, you become a copy, indistinguishable from millions of others who never asked, never questioned, never challenged. Ask yourself, how many of your daily choices, what you wear, what you watch, even what you eat, are truly yours? Or are they just things you copied from someone else because they were approved by your tribe? And this herd effect leads us directly into our next trap: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being different. The fear of being wrong is one of the most powerful forces controlling human thought. Most people don't think for themselves because they are terrified of what might happen if they do. They fear being laughed at, being judged, losing friends, or even losing their job. This fear is wired deep into our brains. Millions of years of evolution made us seek the safety of the tribe. Back then, standing out could mean death. And though we live in a modern world, our brains still act as if disobedience equals danger. Imagine this. You have an idea, a thought that challenges the status quo. You know it might be right, but just the thought of speaking it, of standing alone, triggers anxiety. You hesitate. You stay silent. You conform. Even in today's digital age, fear finds new ways to trap us. Cancel culture, online ridicule, social shame. These modern punishments keep people locked in the herd, obedient and afraid to think freely. And here's the harsh truth. This fear guarantees that 99% of people will never experience independent thought. They will die without ever knowing their own minds. But there is hope. The very people who can overcome this fear, who can endure discomfort, judgment, and isolation, are the ones who change the world. Galileo, Socrates, Newton, even modern innovators like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, they all broke free from the fear of rejection. And it starts with a single question. What are you afraid of losing by thinking differently? Because the moment you face that fear, you take your first real step toward independent thought. Next, we'll explore another reason why most people never think for themselves: the seductive pull of comfort over truth. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful enemies of independent thought. Comfort. Most people will never truly think for themselves. Not because they lack intelligence, but because truth is uncomfortable. And most humans prefer comfort over discomfort, even if it means living a lie. Think about it. Facing reality often challenges everything you have been taught to believe. It challenges your culture, your family, your politics, and even your personal identity. And it's easier to avoid discomfort than to confront the truth. For example, consider your daily distractions. Television, social media, music, binge watching, all ways to escape reality. Even scrolling aimlessly through your phone is a form of mental sedation. Why? Because thinking deeply requires effort. It requires asking hard questions like, why do I believe this? Who benefits if I stay this way? What am I afraid of losing if I think differently? And here's the problem. Most people never ask these questions. They live in a comfortable bubble of half-truths, illusions, and borrowed ideas. Let's take a historical example. Many great thinkers of the past, Socrates, Galileo, Giordano Bruno, faced extreme discomfort for questioning the beliefs of their societies. Socrates was executed. Galileo threatened with imprisonment. Bruno burned at the stake. And yet, they chose truth over comfort. Most people, they choose the opposite. They accept comforting lies because the cost of truth feels too high. They'd rather live in ignorance, happy in their illusions, than endure the anxiety and isolation that comes with independent thought. Even today, this comfort trap exists in subtler ways. Following a career path because it's safe, not because it aligns with your passion. Staying in relationships that feel familiar, rather than confronting uncomfortable truths. Believing popular opinions because it's easier than thinking critically. Here's the reality. Comfort is the silent killer of originality. The moment you choose ease over truth, your mind stops growing. You stop questioning. You stop thinking. And that's why most people remain mentally enslaved, even in a world that glorifies freedom and individuality. But there is a path out, a way to reclaim your mind and start thinking independently. And that's what we'll discuss next. How to escape the traps and truly think for yourself. Now that we've explored the traps, conditioning, herd mentality, fear, and comfort, the question arises, how do you break free? How do you reclaim your ability to think for yourself? The first step is awareness. You need to recognize the programming. Understand that most of your beliefs, opinions, and habits are inherited, not discovered. Awareness is the spark. Without it, you remain asleep, a passenger in someone else's story. The second step is solitude. Independent thinking requires space. You must be willing to spend time alone with your own mind. No phone, no distractions, just silence. This is where reflection happens. This is where you begin questioning not just the world, but yourself. The third step is critical questioning. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Who benefits if I stay this way? What am I afraid of losing? Challenge assumptions, even your own. Remember, independent thought doesn't mean rebellion for its own sake. It means clarity, honesty, and courage to face truth. The fourth step is courage. Thinking differently is uncomfortable. People will criticize, ridicule, or even attack you. True thinkers accept this as the price of freedom. They understand that being disliked is better than being mentally enslaved. History is full of examples. Galileo, Socrates, and countless innovators who dared to stand alone. The fifth step is continuous learning. Read widely. Philosophy, psychology, history. Expose yourself to ideas that challenge your comfort zone. Seek perspectives radically different from your own. Alan Watts, Krishnamurti, Schopenhauer, and even modern thinkers can expand your mind if you let them. And here's the beautiful part. The more you practice independent thought, the easier it becomes. At first, it's uncomfortable. your mind resists. But over time, clarity replaces confusion. Courage replaces fear, and originality replaces conformity. Most people never truly think for themselves because they are conditioned from birth to follow rules, beliefs, and habits. They succumb to the herd mentality, afraid of standing out. Fear of rejection and failure keeps them silent and obedient. They prefer comfort over truth, choosing easy illusions instead of hard realities. But it doesn't have to be this way. You still have a choice. You can break free by becoming aware of your conditioning, spending time in solitude, questioning assumptions, critically embracing courage, committing to continuous learning. Remember, the majority will live and die as copies, trapped in borrowed thought. But a few will live as originals, authors of their own lives. The question is, will you be one of the copies, or will you be one of the originals? The choice is yours. The journey begins with a single thought: I will think for myself. If this video opened your mind, hit subscribe and join a community of thinkers who refuse to follow blindly. Share this with someone who needs to wake up and start a conversation that challenges the ordinary. Because independent thought isn't just a skill, it's a revolution. And revolutions begin with one mind that refuses to obey.